Welcome back to the World Trade Webcast. I'm Greg Sandler, president of ThinkGlobal.com, the B2B network for global trade leads. This week on the World Trade Webcast, our focus is on carbon pricing and the UN Private Sector Forum held last week in New York as part of the UN Secretary General's Climate Summit. Today, we're going to talk about a series of initiatives announced during the UN's Climate Leadership Summit last month, including a global compact by 73 countries and 22 states, provinces, and cities, together responsible for 54% of global greenhouse gas emissions and 52% of world GDP. They're joining more than 1,000 businesses and investors worldwide in support of carbon pricing standards. World leaders agree that climate change is a defining issue of our time and that bold action is needed today to reduce emissions and build resilience, and they promise to lead that effort.
We put aside 1.5 billion euros as a first step in order to produce the same amount of energy as we consume.
We want to be the forefront of green and low carbon innovations and production, and will continue to engage in carbon trading market.
To make electronics greener, but also to develop new forms of energy with new coatings to boost the output of solar cells.
Statoil has stored 25% of all globally stored carbon from oil and gas production.
And we are working with farmers to make our agricultural practices more sustainable.
Both government and private sector participants acknowledge that climate action should be undertaken within the context of efforts to eradicate extreme poverty and promote sustainable development. Government and business leaders committed to limit global temperature rise to less than 2 degrees Celsius from pre-industrial levels. And leaders also committed to finalizing a meaningful, universal new agreement under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in Paris in 2015, with the first draft ready for review in Lima later this year. While the path to an agreement will require consensus, the goal is to develop a framework for pricing carbon that spurs private sector investment. More details on the 2014 UN Climate Summit and proposed next steps can be found online.
For all the immediate challenges that we gathered to address this week, terrorism, instability, inequality, disease, there's one issue that will define the contours of this century more dramatically than any other, and that is the urgent and growing threat of a changing climate.
In the meantime, please join us on Monday as we begin a new World Trade Webcast series. And for our latest schedule of upcoming episodes, subscribe to us with any of the links below and bookmark this page. All of our previous webcasts can be found at thinkglobal.com/webcast. And thanks for watching.